The disgraceful stunt that Donald Trump and his whole campaign team pulled at Arlington National Cemetery this week might represent the most disgusting, of course disgraceful, moment of Donald Trump's campaign so far, and maybe his entire political career, and that is really saying something. But not only was it an event, a stunt that deserved to be called out, but it's really representative of who Donald Trump is as a person. Not just someone who disrespects our men and women in uniform, as we've heard before him call them suckers and losers, but it shows what Donald Trump really wants, and that is to get credit for something he has never done, and that is be selfless. Donald Trump is the most selfish person in America, maybe the world, and he wants the credit given to those who have selflessly served our country, given their lives for our freedoms, and Donald Trump wants to have a thumbs up and take a photo by the graves of those who have actually given something Donald Trump can't even conceptualize. And while it is good, it is important that this event, this stunt, this disgusting stunt by his campaign is being called out. I don't think that that is enough to just condemn it. We need to go another step forward, and congressional Democrats agree, especially one specific congressional Democrat, Jamie Raskin, who is making that happen, moving towards accountability for this event. And we are going to get into all of that in this video. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video, it really goes a long way in supporting what we're doing on this channel. Now, before we get to the action that Jamie Raskin is taking to expose Donald Trump, to move forward with holding him accountable, I want to check out a new ad from the organization Vote Vets that I think really adds a lot of context to this entire situation.
We've got Trump on the run, scared. His insults about service members catching up with him. He's panicked. Losers and suckers, he called us, confirmed. Refusing to be seen with wounded warriors because it makes him queasy. Refusing to salute the fallen of World War I because he, quote, doesn't understand what was in it for them. Because he was afraid his dye job might run in the rain faster than he ran to a quack doctor when the draft board called his number. Comparing his sexploitations with the likes of Jeffrey Epstein to the sacrifice of those who went in his place to Vietnam. Now, maybe the greatest insult of all, turning a military cemetery visit into a political stunt with cameras in tow. In Section 60, one of the most hallowed acres of all, and when an Army civilian official told them they were breaking federal law that bans politics and campaign cameras, Trump thugs verbally and physically assaulted her. Disgusting. Donald Trump, the grave markers veterans and military families drop a knee to, are not your political props. They represent the heroes we served alongside, men and women you could never measure up to, friends who lived and died by the oath we all swore to uphold. Something you will never understand, and why we're doing our damnedest to make sure no service member ever has to salute you as Commander-in-Chief ever again.
Donald Trump doesn't understand service, and he never has and he never will. It's the reason, one of many, why he is so incredibly unqualified to be commander-in-chief. We have already seen him fail at this job, but his personality more, as he unravels more and more, is being reflected every day, and it's something that we need to continue to call out. Of course, we're doing it every single day on this channel, but it was abundantly clear at that stunt that he pulled at Arlington National Cemetery. And that is why Congressman Jamie Raskin is taking action not only to expose Trump, but to hold him accountable. And I want to read all about it in this article right here. Congressman Raskin asks Army for incident report briefing on Trump's Arlington Cemetery incident. Representative Jamie Raskin asked the U.S. Army in a letter Friday for a full report and briefing on former President Trump's visit to Arlington Cemetery after reports of a confrontation between his staff and cemetery officials surfaced. Raskin, the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee, sent the letter obtained by the Hill to the Secretary of the Army, Christine Wormuth. The lawmaker asked her to provide a report on the incident, including whether the former president's staff violated federal law or cemetery rules, and whether the Trump campaign informed the families of service members buried at the cemetery that their gravestones would be used in Mr. Trump's political campaign ads. I am hopeful you can provide the committee with a full account of the incident that occurred in connection with Donald Trump's campaign visit to Arlington National Cemetery on August 26, 2024, including the incident report, Raskin wrote. The former president visited the cemetery on Monday to participate in a ceremony marking the anniversary of the Kabul airport assault that left 13 U.S. service members dead amid the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan. The confrontation reportedly occurred when the former president's photographers and campaign staff tried to enter Section 60, a restricted area where service members who recently died in Iraq and Afghanistan are buried. When told they could not enter the area, members of Trump's team allegedly shoved the cemetery official to the side. An Army spokesperson defended the employee Thursday, arguing he was trying to enforce the rules that prevent political activities in the cemetery. Consistent with the decorum expected at the cemetery, this employee acted with professionalism and avoided further disruption, the official said, adding the incident was reported to the police, but the employee subsequently decided not to press charges. The GOP presidential nominee stood by his conduct Friday during a campaign stop in Pennsylvania, saying he was not trying to get publicity when he appeared at the cemetery with the family members of those killed in the withdrawal from Afghanistan. "I wasn't doing it for publicity. I get a lot of publicity. I would like to get a lot less publicity," he said. In his letter, Raskin included an apology by Utah Governor Spencer Cox, who was also at the ceremony Monday after he shared photos of the visit on social media accounts and fundraising emails. Donald Trump does not care about our military. It's the same reason why we saw MAGA Republicans on the Senate floor after they voted against the PACT Act fist bumping. What is supportive of our military about that? What shows any dedication to protecting men and women who have served, men and women who are dealing with illnesses as a result from exposure to toxic burn pits? That is MAGA. That is the summation of MAGA. Ted Cruz fist bumping after preventing the expansion of healthcare for our veterans. MAGA does not care about their service. And of course, Donald Trump doesn't care about anyone's service. And I think this attack or this stunt really is so disgusting, especially in the light of the attacks that have been made on Governor Tim Walz and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, their attempt to cast him as someone who evaded service when that is obviously something that is true only about Donald Trump. And that was perfectly put right here by Jessica Tarlov.
So I'm going to go stolen valor first.
Yes.
So obviously this was going to come up because the Trump campaign manager was the one behind the John Kerry Swift boat attack, which was obviously very persuasive to people. He served for 24 years honorably. Then he stopped to run for Congress on a platform of ending the war. And I don't think that anyone, especially with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, did he dodge the draft 4 or 5 times? Bone Spurs, Captain Bone Spurs? What say you, Judge?
Bone Spurs are a very serious issue, Jessica.
I can tell by the way you said that you know that it's not serious.
Yeah, but you know what?
Now, I usually agree with Jessica on most things, but I will have a slight bit of disagreement right here with her. I don't think Captain Bone Spurs is the appropriate rank for Trump. I think he'd be more like a private. I don't think he'd even be allowed to serve. So maybe we don't throw around the title of captain for Donald Trump, but the Bone Spurs part certainly can stay. And you just see how Greg Gutfeld, even the MAGA Fox host, they can't even defend this. They know it's so disingenuous. They know it's such a lie. Greg Gutfeld with that dumb smirk on his face trying to defend Donald Trump, knowing that he's just telling a lie here because that's all it is. Even they know, even the Fox propaganda network can't defend Donald Trump because he's defenseless on this point. We know he is someone who only cares about himself and only acts in that way. And if you don't want to take my word for it, take the word of Donald Trump's own family in this clip right here.
Why do you think people in the military support him?
I have no idea. And I know many people who were in the military, and I had the pleasure of speaking on an interview with National Defense Radio, which goes out to the armed services. And I told the truth. I basically told this story, and I said, he just doesn't give a shit about them. He just doesn't. It's the great Godfather 2, one of the last scenes when Sonny says, "Country ain't your blood, kid." And Michael Corleone says, "No, I don't believe that." Donald believes in Donald.
Just incredibly damning stuff. We know who Donald Trump is. We know who he's always been. And I think it's important in this race to not just look at the political record of a Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, right? To not just look at what they've accomplished, certainly a lot more done by Kamala Harris than Donald Trump. But I think it's also important to look at their personal record, because it's so clear how they've spent their lives. Donald Trump has spent his life serving himself. He was born with a silver spoon. All he has ever cared about is advancing whatever he wants in any given moment. Kamala Harris has served her entire life as a public defender and a public official. That's the contrast. Care for our community versus care for Donald Trump and himself and his rich friends. And that is the contrast in this race. And that's the contrast we're going to keep talking about. And if you want to support that, you can click that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to go an extra step further in supporting our show, you can become a monthly member by hitting that join button. As a college student, it really means a lot. And until next time, I'll see you soon.